All right, everyone. Cinephile Mike here, your friendly neighborhood cinephile, and it is day 61 of Award Season Review Season 2. It is the penultimate day of British Indie Week, and today is an interesting one. Today I am discussing Film 4's Enys Men. Written and directed by Mark Jenkin, Enys Men had a small box office take during its theatrical run, with a worldwide box office take of $583,364, $189,579 of which was domestic, and $393,785 was internationally. Now, this film was only nominated for one British Independent Film Award, but sometimes one is enough. It did win in its category, and that was for Best Sound for writer-director Mark Jenkin. As for other awards I've been tracking this season, it hasn't really hit anywhere else. This was the journey, and that is a little surprising, but we'll get to that a little bit later. So, Enys Men, Cornish for Stone Island, set in 1973, is about a woman only referred to as the volunteer, played by a gripping Mary Woodvine. Now, she is living on Enys Men and appears to be a conversationalist or a botanist. I mean, this is never defined, who is conducting daily checks on the soil temperature surrounding a very small clump of white flowers, about 7 of them. Now, living in a very small cottage that requires a generator for power, the volunteer lives here in a very simple routine life. Get up, check the flowers, test the depth of an old mine by dropping a rock, making note in the ledger in which we see a pattern of no change written day after day after day after day. As we get towards May Day, I'll just leave it there. So supplies come for this volunteer weekly by boat. She has a radio with limited contact, but otherwise she is pretty much isolated on this island. At night, by candlelight, turning off the generator, she bathes or lays in bed reading Edward Goldsmith's A Blueprint for Survival, the seminal 1972 book about the impacts of climate change and what's coming. And as we know now in 2024, much of that has come to fruition. So, as she goes through this day to day routine all alone on the island, you know, one day, no change changes. Now, is this because of something odd going on with the flowers? They suddenly begin to grow lichen on them. Is there something more sinister happening on this island? Is there something with the mind? Is she really alone on this island? Or is the isolation just starting to have an impact on her? Because we will see other people, but what is their relationship to this volunteer? I mean, this one is a psychological horror film to be seen. What's really interesting about it is that it was shot in a 4:3 full screen ratio on 16 millimeter film. So Jenkins shot this and presents a film that looks exactly like it was filmed in the year that it's set in 73. Having filmed this during the pandemic, his first film was released in 2019, and this one was delayed due to COVID 19. So when he finally was able to move forward with a very small crew and cast, the themes of isolation and what was happening to this volunteer are almost very prevalent to what was happening to many of us during the height of the pandemic. Now, Woodfine is stellar and carries this almost dialogue free film as she shows us her day to day routine until we start to see a change. Now, there are some other films that this one seems to kind of have some support from. There are a few elements, like a few quick cuts that we've seen in films like William Friedkin's The Exorcist, or some isolated horror elements that we saw in Eli Roth's debut film, Cabin Fever. And there's also a rock monolith on this island that almost seems to have the same kind of ominous presence as the black monolith in Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey. So seeing all these factors come together to create this film is truly remarkable. And again, anchored with Woodvine, I'm surprised that she wasn't nominated for her performance even on the indie circuit. It's a little surprising to me. I mean, it takes a lot to carry a 90-minute movie with little to no dialogue or interaction with others. And this is why Jenkins' sound, which won the award, is so critical. Setting the tone, whether it's pleasant or ominous or downright frightening, both the music and the sound those two things seems to almost be the main supporting character to Woodvine's Volunteer. So how these things connect and build to the climax, which I won't spoil, tempted as I am. Uh some may find it divisive, and this may not be the film for everyone. If you're not a horror fan, this one is not for you. If you like psychological horror with little to no blood and excessive gore, this one is definitely for you because this is a thinking man's horror film that will evoke conversations. So, Enys Men is a solid 4-star film for me. The horror is good, the music and sound a perfect complement, and the lack of dialogue really forces you to take in the surrounding island that we are on. And, it's just the setting creates just such a, oh, what's the word? A gorgeous landscape to juxtapose with what's happening in this isolation. I'm just going to stop there. If you would like to see Enys Men, it is streaming exclusively on Hulu. So there you have it. We have one more day for British Indie Week, and I will be wrapping up the week with the film that led the British Independent Film Awards with the most nominations, 16. As always, if you like what you heard here, please subscribe to the channel, spread the word. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers by the time the season wraps, so we have a little bit over a month to do it. So please help me get the word out there. You can follow me, Cinephile Mike, on all social media platforms and Letterboxd. Stay tuned because in about 2 weeks, there's going to be a lot of great Oscar goodness coming into this fray. We're about a month away from the Oscars, so it's going to be good. All right. So check out Enys Men, and Enys Men, until then, this is Cinephile Mike saying take a break and watch something new.